let me use a proper word. Let us say constrained. I'll be very classy about it. Constrained by Barry from Honolulu and his girlfriend and the girls around him in the sorority. They have constrained the FBI. The CIA, don't even tell me about the CIA, please. You look at John Brennan, I saw a hollow voice. I saw a hollow body emitting foul air. As John Brennan spoke, I saw a hollow body emitting foul air from between his teeth. I saw nothing coming out of his mouth that gave me any sense of security. The FBI gives me a sense of security, but he's been marginalized by the Islamists inside the government, or the Islamic fellow travelers. Let's be more specific. How does the FBI director keep his job when he's being so clear in what's going on? He said they have 1,000 investigations in America right now. We know that they're not about Irish grandmothers in wheelchairs. They're not looking into Irish grandmothers who might be terrorists, are they? So that means 1,000 jihadists, that means 1,000 Muslims are being looked at in the United States of America as we speak. Why not preemptively arrest them? I don't understand it. What are you looking at them for? What are you looking so long? They were looking at them in France, too. Wasn't Obama looking at the Sarnoff brothers in Boston? Weren't they under surveillance? Then they set the pressure cooker off in Boston. Why weren't they arrested in advance? Why? Because of the cockamamie psychotic liberal lawyers who have the most twisted suicidal values you could ever imagine under the guise of freedom. The lawyers prevented the FBI from arresting the Sarnoff brothers. And of course they set the bomb off in Boston. So there are many of them ready to go here in America, who the FBI's been watching. They could arrest them preemptively, put them in a gigantic holding area, treat them humanely, and not let them out until the war on terror is more or less under control, until the flame starts to die out. Keep them almost eternally in an American Guantanamo. Give them 3 meals a day, give them whatever they need to feel comfortable, and conduct trials for all of them. Why can't you do that? Tell me why you wouldn't do that in a time of war. It was done in World War II. During World War II, would you have brought in Germans? Let me ask you something. You're at war with Hitler. Hitler's declared war on you. And what? You say, you're going to bring in Germans because they're fleeing Hitler. You say, but wait a minute. Hold on now. How many of them might be fellow travelers and Nazis? Oh, don't worry. We're going to screen Hans. We have very strict screening processes to determine whether Hans is a good German or a bad German. Well, what are those screening processes? We can't disclose them. It's a matter of national security. But don't you worry. Us girls have it under control. We can screen as many of those Germans as necessary to only let the good ones in, because our sieve is so fine that not one bad German will get in. Not one saboteur will get in who will blow up a train. Not one saboteur will get in who will blow up a day school. Not one saboteur will get in who will blow up a pizzeria or a cafe, because we are so smart. And so instead of not letting the Germans in, we're going to screen the Germans. And we're going to hope for the best, because that's who we are as a nation. Those are our values. We are optimists and we trust people. We are good, liberal progressives. And on that note, I think I'll rest and take a phone call. Let's go to Patty, WMAC Radio in Georgia. Make your point. Please go ahead. You're on the Savage Nation.
The intelligence that France used to bomb Syria came from Obama. Obama had the intelligence, never acted on it.
Well, okay, but it begs the question of why didn't Obama act on it a week before the attacks in France?
Because he's working on the other side. You were right about that.
Well, there's only three conclusions that can be drawn with the empty suit. One, he's stupid. Two, he is a progressive liberal who actually believes in what he says, which makes him stupid. Or three, he's working with them, which makes him even more stupid. In either case, he's not fit for office.
He's loyal to Islam. He said it.
Well, but remember, you see, you say that and you're not thinking clearly. There are many Muslims who are loyal to Islam but are not fanatical murderers. I've said that. It's true. Not every Muslim is a terrorist. But it's also true that almost all terrorists are Muslims. That's a statement that was made by a Muslim himself right after 9/11. Did you know that? He said, not all Muslims are terrorists, but unfortunately almost all acts of terror are conducted by Muslims. It was written by a Muslim. Do you know that?
Okay, I stand corrected.
No, I'm not trying to correct you. But I'm sending you a Thanksgiving gift. It's all in my book. If you name it, you gain it. What's the name of my book?
Government Zero. Thank you.
But do you promise to put it out on the Thanksgiving table, along with the turkey, to try to trigger conversation amongst ignorant fools who don't know what's going on around them? Please do. Please do. If you have a copy, bring it to Thanksgiving dinner and try to discuss what's going on. And if you can't get people to talk about what's going on and the danger we're in, then what hope is there for the country? That's what I want to know. Look, don't progressives pride themselves on being open-minded? That's how to start the conversation. Let's say you have a Bernie Sanders in-law. Someone who looks like him, talks like him, walks like him. Someone who is as ignorant as Bernie Sanders, but he's so bigoted in his liberalism that his mind is made up. So you say, look, Bernie, I know you're an open-minded man, aren't you? And what's he going to say? No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm open-minded. He'll be a little, defensive. Are you at least willing to discuss what must be done to stop radical Islam from hurting us again? Yeah, well, maybe. It was not that right-wing racist stuff. And then say to him, Bernie, I read a book which says there's a dance of death in the West and actual death in the Middle East, courtesy of the Islamofascists. And stop right there. Read one sentence. And then say, Bernie, what do you think of that? Well, No, Bernie, listen. Is there a dance of death in the West, Bernie? Or read in the next one. The Caesar in the White House entertains himself with 1,000 sycophants, partying on behind closed doors as if the Islamo-fascist hand will not touch him. Bernie, do you agree with that or not? You see what I'm saying? You can do it with one sentence. You don't need a whole book. 855-400-7282 phone number. MichaelSavage.com website. Government Zero, the best-selling book, 6th in a row. I have one wall in one of my houses that has all of the plaques with all of my best-selling books. It shows the cover. It shows the New York Times list and where it wound up the first week. I counted them last night. I usually keep them in a closet. People put their awards up. I really don't. I had them all stacked up in a closet. I had nothing to do yesterday, so I got out a hammer and picture hangers. I couldn't believe what I looked at. There were 3 on one wall. There were 4 on another wall. 7 best-selling books in a row. Now, what am I trying to say to you? If so many people are listening to my show and buying my books, what are they trying to say in buying the book? They're making a statement. They agree with me or they wouldn't buy the book to begin with. They agree that we have a government of no borders, no language, and no culture. So what is it that the book is going to do to change things? There's only one thing I can say. The book itself is a billboard. Just putting the cover, the book, on a table and saying not a word says like a billboard in your house. Maybe, just maybe, you can have one person in your family who is an ignoramus open their eyes before it's too late. And that's all I'm going to say on the book, because this is not about a book. It's not about the sale of a book. It's about the death of a nation. It's about trying to save a nation. It's about trying to warn people before it's absolutely too late. And the one thing we must do is stop the importation of Muslim refugees. Yes, we must have a religious litmus test to our compassion. Obama is, again, 100% wrong. He is 100% wrong. Anyone with common sense knows that you don't bring in Muslims from war-torn Syria at a time like this, because you know and I know there's no way to vet them. None whatsoever. Common sense would say don't bring them in. And yet he's doubling down. Why? There's a couple of reasons. Voters and the money that the Catholic charities wants, Lutheran charities want, the Jewish charities want. You get the picture? I think it was Karl Marx who wrote that when the last capitalist is hung, we will hang him with the rope that he manufactured. That's sort of what comes to mind. Must take a quick one. Back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Hey, our Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust for wealth insurance, gold and silver. Call 800-BUI-C. It is the Savage Nation. We've been talking about what to do to stop the next attack. Rocky on WDRC, fire away. You're up on the Savage Nation.
It's a pleasure and a privilege, Dr. Savage. I was on a flight from Las Vegas, Nevada to Hartford, Connecticut. I had your illustrious reading of Government Zero, which is a fantastic piece. I was mocked and chastised by people ahead of me when they turned and saw the cover. So I invited anyone who wanted to sit next to me in the empty seat to stop drinking their liberal berry Kool-Aid and get educated, and maybe if I could save one of you, my job will be done.
And I guarantee you none of them would take you up, right, on your offer?
No, sir, they did not. They looked at me, and I said, throughout the whole flight, one guy said to me, where did you get it? I said, I bought it at a bookstore, and I said, it's the best piece of literature I've ever read in my life. Especially. Well,
let me ask, wait, hold on. Was this before Paris or after it?
Actually, I flew out on Saturday, so it was after it.
So the idiots still don't know what's going on? The moron, liberals, stupid, sympathetic, progressives still don't know what's going on around them? They still believe in the empty suit? Okay, Rocky, thanks for that update. I'm not surprised. Liberals are amongst the most bigoted people I've ever met in my life. Here's one for you Democrats. Minnesota Democrat ends bid for state assembly seat after sympathetic Islamic State tweet. Dateline today, Minneapolis. A Democratic candidate for the Minnesota House ended his campaign Sunday after he tweeted that the Islamic State group, quote, isn't necessarily evil, and its members were doing what they thought was best for their community. My friends, liberalism is a mental disorder. The progressive Islamist allegiance is overwhelmingly alive in America. Your neighbor is a threat to your very survival. The bigotry of liberals will unfortunately sink the ship of state. God bless America.